So this is going to represent the center of my body right here. So this would be the center of my body, like where my shirt is right here. So this is the center of us. So when we start out here, this is the widest place that our hips or our body would sit, from the shoulders and from the pelvis. So this is going to represent my lead hip. This is going to represent my trail hip. So when I set these down right here, and we start this at a 50-50, I would keep this right here. So this is the head of our wrench again. We would work the trail side back here on a 45-degree angle. So now from here, this side stops. Lead side works us back to square right there. This is now giving space for the arms to actually move. So this is now our stability component, and this is where the trail side would start to move back into that. So we can see how much we've moved the pelvis forward, around, and we've created a stable base that we can move and we can hit against.
Thanks to Collars & Co. for sponsoring today's video. Listen guys, I've tried a lot of different golf shirts over my life. One of the issues I've always had is collars. The collars of the shirts that I wear that are flimsy, that are up and down. I just don't like the feel of them. What's so innovative about Collars & Co. is they combine a dress shirt, right, button down top and collar, with a very cool performance polo that you could wear not only at work during the day, maybe throw a sweater or jacket on that looks really sharp and fits well, but you could take that off and then also just take this right to the golf course. They're made with a 4-way stretch polyester, which is breathable, durable, and offers a full range of mobility. The best part is that they're machine washable. You can iron them too, but because they're wrinkle resistant, we don't need to worry about doing that often. Something really cool about Collars & Co. is they were even featured on Shark Tank. Collars & Co. is offering 15% off any order. We'll put the link in the description down below. Just use code Cogorno, my last name, C-O-G-O-R-N-O, when you check out to get that discount. All right, guys, Eric out here, Bethlehem Golf Club, Mr. Trevor Salzman. Appreciate you as always. Got another killer video here today. In today's video, we're talking about a move to make during your downswing, and really how to preset some of the backswing pieces and downswing pieces to make your downswing feel a whole lot easier. We're going to take a little time in the beginning to sort of explain the concept so you understand. It's going to be a light bulb moment for you guys, but make sure you watch all the way through. We're going to explain the concept and then turn it into some feels, and then like a drill and a mantra at the end. That's something that I use for quite a long time in my own swing as well, that I know is going to help you guys big time in your downswing. So Trevor, can you walk us through the concept here that we're talking about, show them some visuals?
Absolutely. So if we go firstly into it, I think one of the biggest things that all of us need to understand, like we're living in a world right now where a lot of people are talking about rotation. I know something for me, it's something that's touchy for me because of what I've done in my past, how I like to teach it now and so forth, is I see too many people out here where what they do is when they start to turn back, they rotate the entire pelvis once here, and then they rotate the entire pelvis here. And so they're almost trying to over-rotate a lot of stuff, and what people lose out on is we lose out on stability, we lose out on space, and it makes it a lot harder for us to time up how the golf club's getting delivered to impact. So I've got a pretty simplistic, like, visual explanation of how we would actually use the pelvis almost from like a wrench analogy theory right here. So firstly, like if I explained it like this, if this is the head of a wrench right here, so this would be my lead hip. So if I put my club right here, this would be the arm right here. So this spot right here, this is staying the same here. So as my right side starts to work backwards like this, so this would be moving to a 45. This side moves back now to where it's in a stopping point. So this is in a stopping point, so now this would be where that is. Now my lead side would start to work it back to parallel. This is now a break right here, which then allows my trail side to move into that break right there. Okay. So from a visual standpoint, we can actually get, and we can have the pelvis one take care of all of our rotation from a lower half standpoint, can take care of a lot of our stability, and as well it takes care of all of our linear movements without us trying to move this direction to where the pelvis gets unsupported, the knees go crazy, and then we lose control over the upper extremities right there. So if I grab 2 alignment sticks right here to explain this to everybody, is I would set this down right here. So this is going to represent the center of my body right here. So this would be the center of my body, like where my shirt is right here. So this is the center of us. So when we start out here, this is the widest place that our hips or our body would sit, from the shoulders and from the pelvis. So this is going to represent my lead hip. This is going to represent my trail hip. So when I set these down right here, and we start this at a 50-50, I would keep this right here. So this is the head of our wrench again. We would work the trail side back here on a 45-degree angle. So now from here, this side stops. Lead side works us back to square right there. This is now giving space for the arms to actually move. So this is now our stability component, and this is where the trail side would start to move back into that. So we can see how much we've moved the pelvis forward, around, and we've created a stable base that we can move and we can hit against. So this is one of the most important pieces, I would say, for everybody out there to understand is if we're not in control of the feet and the pelvis, it's very difficult, in my opinion, to control the directional movements of how the arms actually work. And so I like looking at it more so as a wrench analogy as opposed to just turning my entire unit, because if I end up turning my lead side back so far right here, that'd be like me trying to throw a ball from here.
Right.
There's nothing there there's nothing there for me to support the acceleration of my trail side, my arms and the golf club to actually oppose against or to move up against right there. And so that's the best way that I think I could explain that from a visual perspective, how the pelvis works right there.
I think that's so good. A couple of just points to hit on and questions. When you say at the setup position that it's the widest that you're going to be, just to clarify for people, when we're looking at that from face on, and that widest is because there's no rotation at all?
Exactly. So if I set this up right here in between the center of my feet, this is the widest place that my pelvis sits.
So if we like drew a line down your right hip and left hip, that distance, as you turn.
So now when this starts to turn, this is where this starts to work to more of a narrow look from a face-on standpoint. So now it unwinds back to its widest point, which now you can see my pelvis is in front of my center line where I started. That would be moving my divot forward. That's my linear component, as well as this is my break and this is my wall that I can now move the trail side of my body into with my arms, my side, my shoulders, etc. and the golf club. We have that wall for support and for stability.
And let's just do one, can you do one more? You put that club on the ground, and we'll show an overhead of this. Can you put your fingers on like where the middle would be, like a belt buckle, like the center of the sternum?
So this would be the center of us right here. So just like the shirt that I was wearing right there.
And then as you would move that to kind of show, like, if I were to keep my fingers on that, and we're here, as you do the backswing, that's getting farther away from that center line.
Yeah, it's getting farther away from that center line. It's starting its transition back to the forward side earlier right there.
And then let's do the next part. So I'm gonna keep my fingers on this middle the whole time.
So now this would be here. Now that starts to work back there to square. So we can see that's now moved in front of where we started. Then this side would stop and this would start to move forward. So now we've got 45 degrees of rotation back and through, and look at how far forward we've actually moved the pelvis right there.
That's such a good visual. We'll show you guys like split screen on the side, that same sort of thing. Huge concept. Wanted to take the time to go through that because I think that'll be a light bulb moment for a lot of people. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Now let's say someone sees that and they're like, okay, freaking love that, dude. How do I start to feel or kind of train that in with a club?
Absolutely. So what I like to do, and so this has been probably one of the most helpful pieces for me personally in my own golf game. So one place to start is grab an alignment stick, just so that you actually know where the center of yourself is.
I'm just going to keep us kind of up here.
Okay, so just so that we know where the center of us is. So I like having an alignment stick. It's just like this shirt. I know where the center of where myself is right here. I know where my center is. Okay, so from here, what I like to do firstly is one of the hardest things for me that I actually have had to ever learn in my golf swing is that this can move without that going forward. That was probably like when we talk about light bulb moments, that was a light bulb moment for me. Okay, because the way that I was taught, everybody always said, stay inside a barrel and turn. Okay, well, cool, I did that. Except for I early extended all the time doing it, and I couldn't figure out how to keep my chest down. So this took care of my pelvic stability. Once I learned how to move this direction, then I took this and I moved that direction. Then I would switch to this, and that starts to move there. It's like all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I can actually do this I can actually keep my chest over the golf ball now. Right. Versus right here, I couldn't stand up. I could go into extension of the spine, but I'd never be able to stand up. Because of the way that I was turning, well, I've already now set myself up into early extension by moving my hip forward. And that's what I would say. I'll bet you out of everybody that's watching this video, I'll bet you 90% of you actually struggle with this.
Yeah, a lot.
There's not very many people, even from teaching tour players. I've had to explain this concept to most of them as well.
Yeah.
To where I was just working with a girl the other day explaining this concept. And so what I'll do is I'll start here. I always like to start off taking things slow, because this is going to be, for a lot of you, this is going to be a rewiring concept that is going to feel, and it's going to be very different. I'm not going to lie and say it's like, well, this is just going to be the easiest thing, da-da-da. Exactly. It's like, yeah, the 5-second fix. I'm sorry, unfortunately. So what I would do right here is, this is how I started retraining myself. So I would go here and I'd say, all right, I'm going to feel like my right hip is working back closer to the center line while I'm keeping this point here. So I would work the right hip back. Now I'm going to keep my right side there. That's now back to square. Now I'm going to feel how I can move that in. I was like, okay, all right. So I do this once, twice, 3 times. Then after I do that a couple times, the speed that I would start off doing this is I would go right side back, left side through, right side through. And that would be how I would actually start to work on that. So again, that ball probably went all of 80 yards, carried 80 yards. I flushed it, and I had so much more awareness of actually being here versus here, to where it's like, dude, I actually like that.
Yeah.
That's like that like stimulates me up here to be like, all right, let's do that again. Versus, and then when you see it on video and it's like, holy cow, I didn't early extend for the first time in my life. All right, let's do it again. So that was one of the most eye-opening, enlightening moments of my life when I actually figured out how the pelvis operates.
Now, let me ask you this, Trevor, when you're doing that, because it sort of can seem like there's 2 mantras. One mantra would be like, the right side goes back towards the center line, so it's right side back or right hip back.
So trail side works to there, yep.
And it could almost just be then right side stays back.
Right side definitely stays back.
And then right side through.
Yep.
So someone's like, really, hey, I can't feel my lead side.
Yeah.
They could go, because the mantra that we want you guys to have here is right side back, left side back, right side through. Right? Right side back, left side back, right side through. But if you're someone who's all sort of, hey, I just like my right side, could they go like right side back, stay back, right side through, something like that?
So literally, so here's the best piece of how you just explain that. So this was enlightening for me as well. It's like, I actually learned how to firstly get my right side back, and could I actually hit a golf ball keeping my right side back, not letting nor allowing my right side to go through. And what you would expect to see out of this is you're going to see a golf ball start right. So if you're an over-the-top player, or you've been steep as a Jeep your whole life, that's probably going to be something you'll be like, wow, I'm not used to starting the ball that direction. Because when the right side works back like this and my arms move, well, I've got a runway now. My arms can actually move this direction. When my left side moves forward like this, all right, there would be my runway that's stuck. And then if I turn this way, now I'm even more stuck. I'm not going to have the club back here like this. And if I do, like I did, all I'm going to be doing is hitting it with hand speed, and I'm going to hit golf balls straight up in the air, if I can even hit them solid.
That's a lot of really good points in there. And I want to hit just 1 or 2 here, Trevor, just to kind of conceptually feel this. So if I'm starting with this, I got the stick in between my legs here.
Yep.
Right hip back, or right side back, left side back, right side through. Or I can feel right hip back, kind of keep the right hip back. And the right hip back is backing around. I can still have it turning. Like I can keep it back from this angle, but still rotating. Right?
Exactly. So like when you do that, like if I came in here with you, so when this hip works back here, so when that hip works back, what you'll see, Eric can still turn his lead side. Now he can start to move the lead side. So that would be the unwinding phase right there. So now he's back to square. Then the right side can start to move into it. And that's what's putting the gas on it right there. Does that make sense?
Totally. And this video is about making the downswing easier, but like half the battle is getting yourself in a position on the way back to facilitate a good downswing.
Right.
It's like the whole point here.
This is keeping so much more pressure in the feet now this way, which gives us stability.
I'm going to feel the right side going back just on this first one. Yeah, and I do that quite well, and like that piece for me is quite easy.
Yeah.
But you might be along in your journey, and there's a lot of golfers where that might, to Trevor's point, where you need to live for a moment or two. If you're too far over the top, you hit pulls and fades, you probably shoot 90 plus. You might want to live in just getting the right hip back and kind of keeping it back.
Yep.
That would be a really good place to live. Some pushes and hooks from there.
Yeah, exactly.
Overdone. But like you can push and hook your way to shoot an even par. So that's not the end of the world. So if I were to kind of want to put the next piece in, because that feels really good and easy for me. Right hip's back, I have space, I can swing from inside. I kind of like right hip back, stay back. But then we talked about, I don't stay with my hips back behind the line during the downswing. They have to then push forward.
And that's why there's a sequence of how those things work there. That's why we have an order of them. And it's not just turning the whole pelvis. So once you get right here to where the pelvis is now stabilized and my pressure's forward, this is basically done right here. That's gotten into a break right there. So it's now my right side that's working into that, that's actually completing the rotation of that right there.
Okay. Let me kind of throw that in there where it's right hip is back, and then my left hip is going to go back. I'm going to kind of feel it that way. Right hip around, left hip around.
And that was even better.
Yeah, that was even better.
Start line was better, flight was better.
Less of the push draw. Okay, let me do that one more time. Right hip back, left hip back, right side through. I mean, these are all good, right? I mean, we're talking like, not to toot my own horn, but like we're talking minor little differences. So the timing element of when we're doing that, I think that's the analogy there can help a lot of people.
Yep.
And to see where that belt buckle actually gets to in space, and it needs to go forward as we're doing the turning piece.
It's a really good starting reference for everybody.
And again, this is about making your downswing easier. Trevor and I wanted to go through and take the time to explain that conceptually for those of you that want to see it. The simple mantra, the 30-second video is right hip back, or right side back? How do you say it?
Yeah, I would
Right
say
side back?
trail side back, lead side goes back to square, trail side through.
Trail side back, lead side back, trail side through, or just whatever, right? Right hip back, keep it back, punch it through, and use these and use some of these really feels that we did
Absolutely.
in this video. As always, right? You need to find things in your swing that are your priorities. There could be 87 different things going on in a golf swing that could cause you issues. This is just talking about the pelvis motion, even though it's so important, but you want to find yourself a great coach to work with. We're going to put Trevor's info down below. Go see him in person, work with him online, come see me in person, go to cogornogolf.com. Do something so you can identify what your priorities are, what you need to focus on, have a coach guide you through what speeds you need to go at, how much to exaggerate. All that is so important. Any questions, as always, leave a comment down below. Trevor, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.